or any comments that you'd like to share at that moment. The next speaker, this gentleman has been in real estate or has real estate experience over 20 years, along with title experience and you name it. He has a lot of experience, but a lot of wisdom that he's even shared with me over the years, and he's a good friend of mine, and he is with Capital Title. I want to introduce to some Andy Hemmings. Welcome.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, everybody, and thank y'all for having me here. And I just wanted to thank Sarah again for putting this together. We really appreciate it. You know, back some time ago, I was a real estate agent, and I would have home buyer seminars like this, and I always enjoyed it because it's such an exciting time for y'all. You know, buying a home is one of your most, it will become one of your most prized assets, one of your most valuable assets. So kudos to y'all for being here and making this happen. So now, what do I do? What is Capital Title all about? I'm just going to throw this out there. Anybody out there have any idea what title insurance is? Not you, Sarah. Anybody know what title insurance is? We got someone? Yes, ma'am. Yes.
How do we use this to search the property out to make sure that there is no lien or debt?
That's excellent, excellent. So she said title insurance, what we do is we search the property, we make sure there are no liens and debts against the property, and no outstanding ownership interest in the property. That's great. How did you know that?
I'm not taught.
What's that?
I'm not taught.
She does, okay, all right. So, a few things you need to know about title insurance. First of all, it's different than homeowners insurance, which you just heard about, because homeowners insurance is something, it's insuring you for something that might happen in the future. You might, there might be a hurricane, tree might fall in your house, what have you. That's what homeowners insurance is. Title insurance protects you for something that happened or maybe didn't happen in the past prior to you owning the home. So the way it works, first thing you need to know is that the title insurance policy is for your benefit. It's to protect you. Second thing to know about, most of the time the seller will pay for it. It's a negotiable item on the contract, and I think, Sarah, would you agree with that, Sarah? Most of the time the seller does pay the title policy?
Yes, but it is negotiable.
It is negotiable. Okay, so Texas Real Estate Commission requires her to say that it is a negotiable item on the contract. Most of the time, though, the seller will pay for it. Roughly the cost of a title insurance policy, it depends on the sales price, but let's say a $200,000 house, title policy is around $1,500, roughly, somewhere in there. It's a one-time fee that's paid. It's a one-time premium. Pay it one time, it protects you for as long as you own the home. Now, what does it protect you against? Back in the mid-1800s, if you were to buy a piece of property, you were not protected at all, okay? And mid-1800s and before. Somebody could sell you a piece of property and say they were the only owners of the property, and they would be lying. They could be lying. You buy the property, you give them some money, find out either they weren't the owner or they weren't the only owner. Now you got somebody else coming after you saying, hey, that's my house. Give me that property back. Literally, that's how it was. So, because of that, the title insurance industry was created. And what we do, we have teams of attorneys and what we call title examiners that we look, when you're purchasing a home, we do research on that house. We see who is the legal owner of the property or the legal owners of the property, and if there are any liens against the property. And all that has to be cleared up before closing, okay? So we need to make sure that anybody who has a legal interest in the property, and believe it or not, there's a lot of, I'm not going to get into all the laws, but it can get a little complicated on who actually may have a legal claim to the property. But our job is to make sure that they get to closing and they sign all the documents so that all legal people who have a legal claim to the property have signed at closing and all the interest has been conveyed to you, all the interest in that property. We also search for any liens against the property. Maybe that homeowner had some repairs done on the property and they never paid their contractor. Contractor filed a lien on the house. That lien's got to be paid off before we close. There's a lot of other types of liens that can come up as well. Just suffice it to say, we make sure that they are all cleared before closing. The reason it's so important that we clear before closing is because we are going to be issuing an insurance policy that protects you, that if something pops up after closing that we missed, the insurance policy covers it. You don't have to cover it. So if there's a long lost heir, H-E-A-I-R, somebody that has an interest in the property that pops up and says, hey, I was one of, I have an ownership interest in that property too, the title policy will pay them off. If there's a contractor that has a lien against the property that we missed, by the way, we don't miss them too much, but it does happen, that we missed, the title policy will cover it for you. So that's what happens in the background whenever you buy a property. That's what's happening. That's what's happening in the background of the title company. There's nothing you need to do. It's something that we do. But do know that because of all this research that we're doing, sometimes things can get delayed. For instance, if you're purchasing a home from someone who was married and they own the home together, and that person passed away and they did not have a will, that can delay things. Now we've got to go through the process of establishing who are that person's legal heirs. We've got to get them involved. So just know that sometimes things can get delayed because we are trying to clear title, but it's all to protect you. I'll stop there. Any questions? Yes, Andrea.
Do you suggest, like, before you list a property, or anybody just want to know what kind of liens they have on their property, they don't know, for example, can they get your services ahead of time?
Well, that's a good question, Andrea. And we can do what's called a lien search on the property. And now it's a very basic search, and it's not a full title search, but we can at least look and see if there's any liens against the property. By the way, any of y'all can too. If you go to the county records, they're all filed. But capital title, we can at least do a lien search. Yes. Okay. All right. Any other questions? This exciting stuff. Okay. So I will conclude with this. I'm Andy Hemmings. I work for Capital Title. We have 5 offices in this area, in the Southeast Texas: Port Arthur, Lumberton, Orange, Beaumont, and then down at Crystal Beach. So whenever you purchase a home, if you ever get asked the question, what title company do you want to use, you're going to say? Capital Title. Thank you. That was good. Good job. I appreciate it. Hey, I really appreciate y'all having me here. Good luck on your home purchase journey. We appreciate it.
Thank you.